What's happening, Gaming Outsiders? On episode 416, CB, Alyssa, and I talk about games that we love but understand it might be difficult to convince others to play. In news, more than one person this week got themselves in trouble for getting information to the public that they weren't supposed to. New games discussed this week include Shovel Knight Dig, a full-motion video game called The Gallery, and Return to Monkey Island. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 416 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It's Monday, September 26th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my good friends, Mr. Chris Behrensmeyer.
Hello, friend.
How you doing, man?
I'm existing. I'm tired, man.
I'll bet you are, man.
Little skin puppies can do that.
Skin puppies. I've never heard a baby referred to as a skin puppy till I met you. But
yeah, there you go. Now you have.
How's he doing? Healthy? Crying?
Good. Yeah, pooping everywhere.
I imagine.
Peed on my mom the other day. It was pretty funny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also joining us, Miss Alyssa White. Alyssa, how you doing?
Just like CB, I'm existing.
We're there.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Well, you guys are just full of positivity and high energy this week.
I'm here. I'm smiling. I'm talking with you guys. We're going to talk about some games. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about some games. Yeah. What have you been catching up on, CB? I know you and I played a game together this weekend.
Oh yeah, we played some golf with friends.
Yeah. I don't know why we didn't play that game sooner, because that game is outstanding.
Oh, wait, hang on. Hold the phone.
Okay.
Of the two of us, one of us has played it a few times before.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you knew what you were doing when you came in. But
yeah, not only that, but you guys like, why does your character look different than mine? It's because I've played this game before.
You told me that your son has played this before.
I've played it before. He just went real balls to the wall and unlocked a lot of stuff.
We did a little impromptu community game night. I think, let's see, who was there? Matt was there. Cy was there, but his mic wasn't working or something.
Yeah.
Newman was there. Cusick was there. You were there. Me. Who else? Who am I missing? I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings bad right now.
Wasn't Kevin there?
Oh yeah, Kevin was there.
God, how could you forget Kevin?
Yeah, we can't forget the Sonic King.
I know, right? So this game is recommended by Newman because we were going to play
You Suck at
Parking. And that game apparently does not have where you can create rooms with your friends yet. You have to only play with randoms, which why would that not be a thing at launch? I don't understand that.
You know what? Why don't you talk to 343 and Bungie about that too?
Yeah. But anyway, so Newman recommended, he was doing some searching of Game Pass games, and he saw that Golf with Friends. Is it Golf with Friends or Golf with Your Friends? I can't remember.
Golf with Friends.
Golf with Friends. He's like, this one does up to 12 people at one time. We could get as many people as we want. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. But I really wasn't looking forward to it because it was like another golf game. And, we're going to sit around and wait for 5 other people to, golf. And then I was pleasantly surprised. Have you seen this game at all, Alyssa? Do you know what it is?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever seen any gameplay or anything.
Okay, so it is mini golf, more or less mini golf.
Okay.
But the controls are super simple. You can just control left and right with your right stick, and your power is controlled with your left stick. There is no, how most golf games do the 3 swing thing, where you press it once, press it twice for how much power, and then press it another time for accuracy? There's none of that. You adjust your power whatever you want, and you aim it where you want to go, and that's it. Then you press A to release your shot, and that's it. The cool part about this is that when you play this multiplayer, everybody plays at the exact same time on the same course, but the balls don't bump into each other, so nobody is impeding anybody's movement. The game gives you about a 1.5-minute timer to complete the hole, and if you don't complete the hole, by the end, you get the max stroke penalty of 14 strokes. So you definitely have an incentive to finish the hole under the time. But that tiny little thing of giving everybody a time limit and making everybody go at the same time is perfect because you're not waiting for anybody to go. You're just going, and then each round is only 1.5 minutes or so. And we had some fun conversations. It was very chill, relaxing, but also some of those courses got hard.
Some were hard, and then some of us got through some of them ridiculously easy.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll do a hole and I'll have like 11 strokes, and then I see CB's got 3. And I'm like, how did you get 3 strokes on that? I don't even know.
Oh no, the best was that one where you guys almost all maxed out and I had 2.
Yeah, it's just crazy. There's a somewhat element of luck and here's the cool thing. I don't know if I like this or not, but you have a limited amount of free camera movement per hole. So where you can like fly around the course and look to see what it is, but you only have a max of 15 seconds of use. So if you use it for 5 seconds and then stop, you now have 10 seconds left. So that's kind of cool, but it's also infuriating if you run out of time and get stuck somewhere and you have no idea where to go and you're just kind of shooting blind. But that adds to the strategy of it, and it's great.
Well, the problem is if you're playing online, you don't want something that's going to like, oh, I'm going to sit here and preview this for 30 minutes because I got screwed on a hole.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't want to like waste the time. So like they're never going to wait more than, I don't know, a minute or so, and even then everybody finishes about the same time. So there's no downtime.
Okay.
What a great little game. Just very chill, very fun, and nobody cares. If you suck on a hole, everybody's going to suck on a hole. There's going to be a winner, but it's just really fun. We're going to definitely do that, man. I want to max out that room with 12. I really want to just
chaos.
I mean, it's chaos, but it's not because nobody is,
No, I meant like people talking over each other. That part will be chaos.
Oh yeah. Well, people in one room would be kind of chaos, but
I'll have to join you guys. I gotta get over my fear.
Oh yeah, everybody's super friendly.
I know,
except for Kevin. He's pretty mean to everybody. But,
how dare you?
Don't be mean to me, Kevin. Sonic. I made you the Sonic King.
It's true.
Be nice.
Just tell him you love Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay,
and you'll be all good.
Okay.
So
I'll be like, oh wait, no, that was Mega Man, right?
Wrong blue character, man. Wrong blue character. Yeah, we're definitely gonna do that again. There was different modes too. There's like a basketball mode, which I didn't like very much. Like you actually have to like jump the ball instead of putting it into a hole. You have to jump the ball into a hoop at the very end. Did not like that one, but I loved the hockey.
The hockey one. The hockey one is where it's at.
Yeah. So the hockey, Alyssa, has like instead of a hole at the end, it has a hockey goal, and there's a goalie standing in front of it dressed like a gingerbread man, holding like a candy cane as a hockey stick, and he's just moving sporadically back and forth, so you never know where when to time the shot, and you have to get it into the goal instead of into a hole, and it's the randomness of that was pretty fun. So
yeah, it was fun to watch Scott do that.
Yeah, there was one I think where I hit it 5 times in a row and it bounced back, and it was pretty brutal.
Everybody was done with the hole, and the cool thing is like once you're done with the hole, you spectate the other people.
Yeah, and you can kind of rotate through who's still shooting and just watch them.
It's really fun if everybody has a really good hole that you get to roast the other person.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. So I've also been diving into a little bit more Jetpack Joyride 2, which I talked about a couple weeks ago. That game continues to just be a great mobile game. That the progression, you're always progressing, just always, always, always. I never feel like I'm in a lull. I feel like this is the route to do mobile games instead of the free-to-play, nickel and dime you for stuff. I would rather pay a subscription service to a place like Apple Arcade and just play a game like this because it's really fun. Sense of humor is great. I like it. Got to give a shout out to Mr. Matt Sattler was the winner of our September game giveaway. He won the copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Cowabunga Collection on Xbox. He actually already got it in the mail. I think the comment he said when I told him he won was, "Really? Only took 6 years." He's been listening to the show for that long, and he finally won one. So congrats to Matt. You're gonna have to let us know how you like that game. So, anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. Let's start off with some trailers. We got a trailer for Memories Reach, a trailer for a game called Scorn. We saw that one at the Xbox conference. What's that artist's name?
Giger.
Yeah, H.R. Giger.
Yeah. We got a game called Soul Survivors, which looks an awful lot like Vampire Survivors. Like
it does.
I mean, there's homage, and then there's just complete ripoff. But I don't know. And then we got a teaser trailer for the Last of Us HBO series. I have a feeling we will definitely be talking about that. But in other news, Hollow Knight Silksong is coming to PS4 and PS5. We got a new Iron Man game from EA Motive that's been announced. And I don't know if this is sad news or not, but some AAA developers are starting to use AI voice acting tech in their games. And then some of this is funny, but an arrest has been made in the recent GTA 6 leak from last week. I have a feeling we'll talk about that one as well. And a video game industry leader accidentally busted himself this week. I know I want to talk about that as well, too. But, Alyssa, let's talk to you first. Which story would you like to begin with?
Definitely the AAA studios, kind of trying to aim for AI voice actors. Yes. Because for me, I don't like that, because voice actors just bring so much emotion and depth to roles that to remove the human element, it'll just seem robotic or artificial, like artificial intelligence, but it just won't feel the same.
Won't feel human.
Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, I think that the headline for this story was a bit misleading, because it does suggest that AI voice acting would replace people, and that's honestly not what is happening here. There's what's the name of the company? Altered AI. What they do is they take existing voice actors' lines and they put that into their program, and they're able to recreate that voice to create new lines. Basically, they kind of piece together all this, and they do modulation, and they do their best to make it sound the way it's supposed to. And one of the devs in question in this article is Ninja Theory, who has admitted to using this technology, but they're using it for a placeholder lines in games. So they're doing it to kind of give the actual actors that they hire, a baseline, and they need those lines too when they're creating the games, right? And then, so it becomes more of like a dub over. So, and then the AI takes existing voice actors, like I said, and modulates them. So when I read this article, you probably saw my reaction. I posted it on Twitter and Facebook and said, well, there goes my dreams of ever being a voice actor in a game, because, I'm not going to sound better than an AI. But Ashley Birch and Yuri Lowenthal are still concerned, though, because their voice could be used in games where they're not getting compensated.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Even if it's a placeholder line, it's still their voice, and their voice could in turn, inspire somebody else to do the line the way that they might have delivered it, even if it is modulated or redone with this technology. And Birch is very much like you, Alyssa. She believes that you're never going to get that same quality out of a human. And her quote here is, "If you're looking for something human and nuanced and alive, AI isn't going to cut it." I think that kind of sums up what you were saying.
Yeah.
CB, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, this isn't the only industry being affected.
Yeah, Hollywood.
James Earl Jones just signed over the rights to Darth Vader to be done by AI.
Right. Which, why? Like, what else is Darth Vader going to be in?
I can only assume.
Well, I mean, but first off, it's an iconic voice.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I really can't imagine anybody else doing it. So if any future projects, like, rather than find somebody to imitate him, they're using AI. So there are instances where I'm like, okay, yes, I wouldn't want anyone other than James Earl Jones to voice this character.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, though, when you have actors who have such a broad range of projects that they've worked on, where you could literally pull their voice from just like other things to do this, that bothers me, because now you are taking work away from someone.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember. I think I even commented on the Facebook page when you posted this. I'm like, oh, yep, just another instance of our robot overlords,
right,
slowly replacing us.
I mean, is this any different than like assembly lines being replaced by robots doing the physical work?
That's essentially what it is.
Right.
And it's easier to not pay a program than it is to pay a person.
Right. Well, it's cheaper.
This is essentially another way of companies trying to cut corners and costs, which can lead to substandard experiences in games.
True, but again, from what I'm reading, this isn't actually replacing those voice actors, at least not right now.
It could happen in the future, though.
Sure.
Slippery slope, man. Like once you go down that path, how many businesses are guys like, hey, remember when we did this to like make it easier for us to make a game? Why don't we just do it all the time?
Right.
I mean,
oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like right now in the anime community, there's a huge uproar over the fact that they're not getting paid a lot to do voiceovers now. Like even major voice artists, like in the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, a lot of them said they only got paid $150 to record the entire movie. They're barely getting paid as it is. And in the future, they could potentially be, replaced with AI or have their voice used as AI and not be compensated for it. It's just a concerning slippery slope right now. The fact they're barely getting paid anything at all.
I'd be interested to hear some of that, where they've taken a voice and then use that artificial intelligence to complete some sentences or paragraphs. I want to hear it because I want to hear how it sounds.
Didn't it kind of come up a little bit when they like AI generated Peter Cushing or whoever played Grand Moff Tarkin and
Peter Cushing.
Peter Cushing and Carrie Fisher, because they were both AI generated in there, and like that's their voice.
Wasn't Carrie Fisher still alive at that point?
They said they reused footage that she had recorded for Force Awakens in it.
Okay.
Yeah, but
so
I know
it was her actual voice.
But Peter Cushing definitely was not alive.
Right.
So
you could, if you had told me that was him, though, I would have believed you.
Oh, I know. Like it is still haunting. Like because I rewatched Rogue One the other day, and I was like,
his voice, to be clear, not the the mocap or whatever was. It was close, but
what as long as the lips aren't moving,
right? Yeah, it was always like a dark shadow. Like it was, it was a little odd. But
I'm actually completely against this. I hate it because just before we were recording, Scott, like sometimes like you need that warmth in a voice for it to really drive home that message, and when you can tell, that's why you're here. But you can tell though when something's been synthesized, it has that harshness to it,
right?
Where it just doesn't feel right, and it's a little off-putting. You're like, it's just no.
The last thing I want is Siri voicing my video game.
Hello, Master Chief.
You have Siri call you Master Chief?
No. I don't even have Siri because I don't use Apple products.
Or whatever. I mean, there's something comparable on Android, right?
Google.
I thought it was Bixby or something.
Google. I don't know. I never gave it a name. It's just, hey, Google. Shut up, phone.
Anyway, CB, what else do you want to talk about?
Oh, man. Well, I suppose we should get into some shady people in the business.
I think we should just lump both of these.
That's what I was about to do.
Yeah.
So first off, folks, an arrest has been made in the recent GTA 6 leak. London police have confirmed that they've apprehended a 17-year-old male. No confirmation if the suspect is responsible for the hack, but this person is supposedly part of a larger group who's also been linked to the large profile hacks of Uber, Microsoft, Cisco, Samsung, NVIDIA, Okta, and originally the Brazilian Ministry of Defense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brazil, fix your stuff. So, man.
That was quick, by the way.
Yeah. First off, you're 17 years old. You can be tried as an adult.
Yeah.
Second off, you are not in the United States. You are going to have a bad time. Third off, you know full well Rockstar is going to be out for blood.
Absolutely. The thing is as bad as that was for Rockstar, I feel like there's no such thing as bad press when it comes to a GTA game. I understand that a lot of people saw that footage and they're saying, "Oh, that looks awful," but all they have to do is reveal a trailer when the game is actually like near completion, and no one will remember it.
I'll tell you right now, it could look just like it does right now, and people are going to buy it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Second off, I'm willing to bet Rockstar is going to put this in the game.
Oh, that's a really good
It
point.
is, yeah.
I didn't think about that.
There's going to be a mission where you are tracking down somebody who's stolen something from you, and it's going to turn out to be like a 17-year-old kid, and you're going to have to decide what to do with them. Are you kidding me? This has Rockstar written all over it.
Oh yeah.
They're like, hey, you guys play the mission about the 17-year-old kid yet?
That's a really good call, man. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, of course they're going to turn this into something, but yeah, and that's the other thing is this is a 17-year-old kid who's going to be going through like some hardcore stuff. You cannot tell me that this kid is not going to flip on some other people.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, he's going to get an offer to like turn in somebody to lessen his sentence or lessen his whatever.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Rockstar reached out to this young gentleman. Come work for us.
Yeah.
But tell us everybody that works with you.
Yeah.
So I'm actually like, I bookmarked this online just because I want to see where this story goes.
I think we all do. I mean,
yeah.
It's an interesting thing because it's a leak. There are people that are arguing online like, what kind of damage did this actually cause? But they're forgetting that the source code for the game is out there. So
not yet. They said that they're debating on releasing the source code.
Okay, so
somebody has it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's out in the wild yet.
It's in the wild. It's just not out available to everybody. But if that happens, that could be pure chaos.
Oh yeah, that's almost grounds for a complete rewrite from the ground up.
Or they would say they were going to rewrite from the ground up, and then
they'll rewrite it from the ground up.
Yeah,
because then you're going to be able to easily data mine their entire game.
This is going to be a story for a while,
here's the funny thing. 17-year-old kid. What's Rockstar going to sue him for?
Yep. He says,
hey, you got $5 in your pocket? I want that.
I mean, jail time.
Oh, boy.
Or they're gonna make an example out of him. And nobody's going to be scared.
I mean, they're going to garnish his wage. The thing is, like, I'm pretty sure in the UK there are limits on to, like, how far like somebody can be prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see where that goes. I'm gonna have to dig into that one some more. But the other one is hilarious.
Okay, it is funny.
So a video game industry leaker accidentally busted himself this week when he a Twitter account called The Real Insider has recently been making some pretty impressive claims that came true. Most notably, the names of all the upcoming Assassin's Creed games. Then, on top of that, YouTuber Dan Allen from Dan Allen Gaming had been breaking embargo by sharing this information on a separate Twitter handle. All this came to light when he accidentally posted on the wrong Twitter using his real name, All the Leaks.
And then Jason Schreier got involved.
Oh, God, everybody's favorite human being. There's negative press to the rescue.
I mean, on one hand, I appreciate what he did because nobody else is doing investigative journalism for something like this.
I don't think it's in his power to do anything positive.
Maybe, unless it's like unionizing game developers or something like that.
Yeah, but I think hell would freeze over before Jason Schreier wrote like a positive puff piece ever.
Yeah. But I mean, that's bad news sells.
Yeah, but we're not about bad news here.
We're not, but that's where he goes, and he's obviously doing very successful at it. I just wish that there was more investigative journalism that mattered. I guess. I mean, I don't understand in the industry why it's such a big deal that these names have to be held back for so long, or if it gets out. Why is that a big deal? I don't get it.
They may be trying to acquire things like Twitter handles, Facebook.
Okay, yeah.
Things like that. Because if you were like, hey, man, we're making the brand new John Madden foosball, somebody could go out and swipe up.
Foosball behind my back.
Well, I meant actual foosball. Like, make a John Madden table.
Make a John Madden foosball table.
It'd be awesome.
First off, it's, wrong sport.
I've seen football ones.
No,
I have seen football ones.
Okay.
So
rugby would make a little more sense than American football.
But somebody could go out and they could swipe up the IP address or things like that. So I can understand why you'd want to keep it under wraps until you make sure you got all your ducks in a row. But here's the thing. Like, the dude broke a legit NDA.
Right, like one where you have to sign.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. And again, I'm not a streamer. I don't do anything with YouTube except for these episodes go on YouTube. Why would a streamer need to know this information?
Probably because he's part of the alpha test team.
We can't be that close to an alpha, can we?
Alphas go way out.
I don't know. But all of those names, there was like 5 different Assassin's Creed games names, even their code names. That just seems like information that a YouTube streamer wouldn't need to know.
Or because he's a popular YouTube streamer who's known for playing games like these, they use him as a test market and be like, hey, would you be interested in playing a game like this? So it's like part of that small group testing. But for me, like, this dude literally just buried himself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he
deleted both of his accounts immediately.
Well, not only that.
After apologizing.
He deleted his Twitter accounts, but he still streams. Here's the thing. No company's going to work with him.
Yep.
Like, congrats. You're done. Go get a day job.
Pretty much.
That sucks.
But the thing that sucks for me from our perspective is that people doing things like that make it that much harder for the little guys like us to get in bed with some of these developers. Like, Ubisoft is never going to look at a podcast like us, a website like us, and be like, yeah, let's go ahead and give them some insider information.
I almost disagree with you on that because for me, I would want to be finding the little guy that has the small market because the chances of them opening their mouths is a lot smaller than the guy that has thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people listening to him.
Yes, but
because like let's say I had information like that and I leaked it, somebody'd be like, who's going to believe you?
Right.
So it sucks.
But then what benefit is it to them to give me that information or give me that access to their game?
Still test market. Like, they know you play games. Do you like to play games? Cool. Like, give us your info on this. Oh. It is sad though that somebody that was presented with an opportunity like that decides to squander it over something so stupid as like, hey man, I leaked some names of some upcoming games.
Yep.
Instead of like something like, hey, I leaked some screenshots of games, like something a little more substantial.
And what good does that do you other than like some likes on Twitter?
Notoriety.
But it's not it's anonymous notoriety.
But that's the thing, is like once you've built up like enough notoriety, later on, like, cool, I've made a ton of money doing this. Now I can reveal, oh, it was me all along, after these NDAs are no longer valid and worth pursuing.
I mean, you still broke the NDA even if you don't know until after the NDA is over or the embargo is over.
Or say like 10 years down the road, he's made a crap ton of money from people watching him streaming and he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Well, he's going to get sued for all that all that money.
But there's statute of limitations.
Man, you're lawyering me right now. I don't know it, so I'm not going to argue, but I just feel like I don't know.
Hang on, I finally get to say it. Lawyered.
You've been wanting to do that for a long time.
Yes, sir, I have.
Anyway, I want to read Ubisoft's response because they did have something to say about this, and this is a direct quote. Ubisoft said, "We regularly provide access and information on our games under NDA to trusted partners. When that trust is compromised or information is leaked by an individual, it's not only damaging and demoralizing to our teams, but it takes away from an exciting reveal moment and experience for our players. While we won't speak on an individual case, we do take these matters seriously and will manage accordingly." That is that is such a vague, ominous statement all rolled into one. This guy, if he's still streaming, the ball's on that guy to keep streaming.
He ain't going to be allowed to, because what's going to happen
eventually.
Ubisoft is going to sue the crap out of him, and everything that he used to stream, computer, phone, all of that now becomes court evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Turn it over.
Unless he deletes it into the...
Doesn't matter. Still has to be turned over. They still have to investigate. So, but that's, believe it or not, that's where this gets really funny, because sometimes there is additional information on phones and computers that other companies find out during, like, as they go through these things. So let's say he was leaking information for other companies as well.
Yep. He's going to have a bad time.
Real bad
Alyssa,
time.
Yeah.
You got anything to share?
I mean, it just seems kind of dumb, in my opinion, to even do that in the first place. I mean, I don't even see, like, you gain notoriety, but I mean, what else is there to gain by leaking stuff? I mean, you're not making money off of that. You're not gaining anything. You're losing trust with people. So.
Exactly. And this is why, on the occasion when we get a review code or we get any information and it has embargo, this is why I am so, adamant about, please guys, do not, like, if I'm sharing a trailer, just amongst our team, do not talk about this, do not tell anybody about this. This is under, but I need someone to review this game that might be coming out. I think one time I broke not NDA, but like I broke an embargo by accident by like 6 hours or something, and I immediately pulled it down. It was up for like 30 seconds. And I was like, I got to pull that. I want to make sure that I don't even want to hint at getting blacklisted by anybody. And this guy is done. He's notorious for the wrong reasons, and I don't feel sorry for him.
I almost want to turn this into a weekly segment of just like, This Week in Gaming, the bonehead maneuver of the week.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, that is enough negative things to talk about. I want to talk about this Last of Us trailer that dropped today as of this recording. The HBO series, we've been talking about it for quite a while. I have no idea what CB and Alyssa thought of this trailer. So I'm going to pass it off to Alyssa first. I am really curious because you guys watched it right before we started recording. Mm-hmm. Again, this is just a teaser, but what are your initial impressions, Alyssa?
First off, it looks stunning. The cinematography alone in this. And I think Pedro Pascal is encapsulating Joel very well, just from what I've seen.
Yeah, we didn't get any audio from either of them.
That's true. We just saw Joel kind of shush Ellie at one point, and we saw him carry his daughter.
We know that scene's going to be in there.
We do, and we also got to look at the clickers very briefly, but just they look incredibly disgusting. But that's good. We want them to look like that. And also, I was digging whatever that song was in the trailer. I'm like,
I was too.
This song's good. I don't know what it is, but it's good. And it's just got very post-apocalyptic atmospheric vibes, which we obviously want with The Last of Us. So I have high hopes, and it is from the creator of Chernobyl, which was a very impactful, powerful series. I'm excited to see the other actors and actresses appear in this series, and I think Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey have a lot of potential as Joel and Ellie. They look great in the trailer, or the teaser, actually, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this series a lot.
Awesome. CB, I'm nervous to ask.
Faith has been restored.
Oh, really?
Oh, yay!
I saw this and I'm like, I know exactly when these spots in this game were taken.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, there's that explosion when they're going down the road. Like there's a few other things, and there's a look between Joel and Ellie when there's the sun shining. I'm like, that's the giraffe, man.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, I saw the part with his daughter, and I'm like, ooh, am I gonna have to sit through that again?
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Bold choice on the song. I'm glad that for one of these post-apocalyptic things, somebody didn't go with Johnny Cash like everybody else seems to.
Right.
It felt like budget Johnny Cash, but
Wish.com, Johnny Cash.
yes. Man, overall though, this looks like that's why I said like faith restored.
Yeah.
Because before we'd only seen a still.
Yeah.
This, like the pacing, the tempo, the look, the feel
of God
is the fabric of our lives. It really does feel like they hit the mark, especially with like Neil Druckmann and, like you said, the guy that made Chernobyl. I was nervous. Now I'm like, just don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Like I'm waiting for the other foot to drop. Like faith has been restored, but I'm waiting for the other foot to drop. Just being like, that's what makes me so nervous about like these types of shows. Is they're so impactful. Moments are so memorable that if you change something, people are going to get mad.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you change something at the wrong time, out of order, changes the story and ruins it.
Right. My thing is that I think that there's enough subscribers to HBO that have never played Last of Us that you could play that story out exactly the same way as it does in the game, and it would just still work perfectly.
Yes.
And the scenes like you're talking about that are so reminiscent of the game, like you mentioned that you know exactly at what point in the game that was. That is something that I wish movies and TV shows based on video games would do more instead of trying to make it its own thing. Because as long as it doesn't hurt it and keep it from being an unwatchable visual experience, visual medium, then why not do it? Why not appease the gaming fans and appease the people that just want to watch a good show? Because you could just throw this show on there and not tell anybody that it's based on a video game. And I hope they don't. I hope that when people watch this, they don't even know that it's based on a video game. And then when it's over, be like, hey, did you know that was a video game first?
No, screw that. I want them to know that it's a video game.
My worry is that they say, oh, it's based on a video game. They're not going to watch it.
No, because if they do it shot for shot and they do it well, this will have enough word of mouth behind it that they're like, you haven't watched The Last of Us? Like, people are going to watch this.
And people are going to go buy the games.
But that's the thing, is this could be the linchpin that finally makes the people who are making these god-awful TV shows realize that you can do a shot for shot of a video game and people will care and love it. Like, stop screwing stuff up.
Yeah, you know what the big difference with this Last of Us series versus other video games, movies, or TV shows? Neil Druckmann is involved in the process. The guy that made the game, the guy that understands, obviously, what made that game special, is involved in it. And I can't speak to it because I haven't actually watched it, but from this teaser that I saw, it's clearly done with love by the people that were involved in making the game.
Well, yes, but there were, like, it just frustrates me over the fact that there's like, oh, it's a video game thing, it's gonna suck. No, you could do almost a shot for shot of the original Resident Evil.
Yeah,
like if you cut out a lot of the like, oh, I'm gonna
cheesy
walk around this. No, you can leave the cheesy lines in if they're delivered properly. But it's like the room to room walking.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
I'd find that hilarious.
I would as well.
But the problem is, it's like if you tighten it up, if you left the major spots in, and stop taking creative liberties. Like, the story is written. Like, you have best-selling games. The story is written. You already know like you essentially have your storyboard already done.
Mm-hmm.
Just go film it with real people.
And I don't understand this mentality of like it has to be so different from the original. I've played The Last of Us. I know the story, and if the story is exactly the same, I'm going to enjoy it more because as much as I love The Last of Us, I don't want to play it again, but I want to experience the story again. And just like when I read a book and then I love to go watch the movie of it, I want to have that same experience with a game like The Last of Us. I played it. Now I want to experience it again in a different medium and have everything be the way that it's supposed to be. If they don't end that story the same way that they ended the original game, I'm going to be so frustrated.
Yeah. I think a lot of people will be. Because if they try to tie it up with a nice bow and they're like, happy ending. No.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like if they did a shot for shot like major moment of Death Stranding,
mm-hmm.
I would watch the crap out of that.
I would, just to know what is going on in that story.
But
because I still haven't.
But like other than like all the walking and all the side quests and everything, like if you take the major story beats of any of these like basically PS3 forward games,
you can make an 1.5-hour movie easily.
You could make a 3-hour movie,
mm-hmm.
and most of us would be like, I'm completely entertained.
Yep.
Hollywood, stop screwing up.
Last two things I want to say about The Last of Us. Alyssa mentioned the clickers looking absolutely disgusting, but the thing that stood out to me most about the clickers was the noise.
Oh, the noise was on point.
They got that noise down. I mean, it's...
They probably lifted the audio files straight out of the game.
Yeah. And the second thing is I have to imagine that this series is going to be successful. I will be shocked if it's not. The popularity of the game series alone is going to get so many fans wanting to see what they do with it. And it's going to bring in a whole new audience of people that have never heard of The Last of Us. Are they going to end this first season at the end of The Last of Us? Or are they going to end it, like do the first game in like 2 seasons? Are they going to go to Last of Us Part 2? And if so, is Bella Thorne going to be playing?
Well, I think they're only doing...
Or is it Bella Thorne? Is that her name?
Bella Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think, because if I'm not mistaken, this is a mini series.
I don't know for sure.
So, because I thought it was only one season, like a one-off, one and done.
So a mini series, so they would have to tell the whole story, end it on that down note, and then wait for Bella Ramsey to grow up and do part 2.
No, you don't have to wait for her to grow up.
She's pretty small, man.
I mean, you could legitimately do a recast.
Yeah.
You could. Not Pedro Pascal. He would have to stay the same.
Well, I mean, it's not like you need him for the whole thing.
Hey now.
Well, it's not the story about Joel.
But there is stuff about Joel.
There is stuff about Joel, but it's not a story about Joel.
No, I know.
But I actually see, like, say it's a 8-episode thing.
Mm-hmm.
We would know probably by episode 3 whether they're going to be like, all right, we're going to do a second mini series, but it's going to be The Last of Us 2, which that one, I would be super excited for.
Would be glad it's on HBO, because that would have to be on HBO. Well, I mean, it could be on. I don't know. HBO is in the right wheelhouse.
FX. I mean, you could even hit FX with that.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you could. Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Just be glad it's not Cinemax. That'd be a completely different kind of movie.
Anyway. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Because like I said, that dropped today. And I could not believe how awesome that looked. So
stellar.
Just very, very excited. And I was a little trepidatious going into that, like you said, but very excited. Okay, moving on. Our Patreon is live and thriving. If you'd like to help us out and throw some dollars our way to, thank us for the work that we do and maybe get some bonus content in the same way, we would appreciate it. You've got different tiers, and each tier will give you different rewards. The lowest tier will get you bonus access, will give you early access to the regular episode. And then the $3 tier and $5 tier will get you 1 or 2 bonus episodes each month, respectively. CB, what is coming on the horizon?
Well, upcoming, we have our Retro Outsider for Little Samson and trade-off of Link's Awakening versus Sonic Generations. I know it sounds like we're beating a dead horse, folks, but we do have some stuff in the works. Desert Island Games with CJ Moore, and whatever Scott decides to drag his butt over to my house so he can be tormented.
Yeah. I've also got another Desert Island Games in the works. I'm trying to get another patron person to come online to do that, so stay tuned for that. But if you'd like to check that out, plus all of our past content, there are so many episodes we've done on Patreon that if you were a brand new subscriber, you're going to get access to everything. And I actually have, in the process, I think I've released it. No, I haven't released it, but there is an article coming that will basically give you hyperlinks to all of the content that we've got on there, so an easy way to track it. If you want to just watch or just listen to the games that aren't for us, you want to listen to just the Desert Island games, you want to listen to the Legacy episodes, whatever you want to listen to, you can just pick and choose that way, and it makes it a lot easier for you. So if any of that sounds exciting, head over to patreon.com/thegocast, and we would very much appreciate the support. Shout out to David Newman, our newest subscriber. He signed up for the $5 tier. We really do appreciate it, and thanks to everybody that helps contribute to the show because you keep things running over here. We do appreciate it. Let's go ahead now and jump into the new games of the week. Got some new trailers up and coming this week. First off, Grounded is finally getting its 1.0 release on Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC September 27th. A game called Moonscars. This is looks like a 2D melee game, but it has some incredible animations. Kena, Bridge of Spirits is coming to PC on September 27th. Black Witchcraft, which is another 2D side-scrolling game based on Edgar Allan Poe. That comes out to PC September 27th. Game called Hako Life. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Alyssa?
Yes.
I would think it'd be Hoko.
Hoko Life coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC September 27th. That looks to be a Harvest Moon clone. Life is Strange Remastered Collection is coming to Switch on September 27th. The Fridge is Red on PC on September 27th. That is a creepy game with some 80s vibes and paper cutouts at the end. Go watch that trailer. That's super weird. The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero coming to PS4, Switch, and PC. It's a JRPG. Tunic is getting a release on PS5, PS4, and Switch on September 27th. Deathverse Let It Die, another multiplayer arena game coming to PS5, PS4, September 28th. One Hell of a Ride, a vehicle combat game coming to PS4, PS5, Series X and S, Xbox One, and Switch, September 28th. Post Void, a game that was, the trailer alone will probably cause you to maybe have a seizure. PS5, PS4, and Switch, September 29th. It is a first-person shooter that is very psychedelic, I guess is the best word I could use to describe that. Brewmaster, Beer Brewing Simulator, coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, September 29th. That's exactly what it sounds like. Little Witch Nobita, PS4, Switch, and PC, September 29th. That is a third-person witch combat game. Let's Build a Zoo, PS5, PS4, Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, September 29th. That is a park simulator. Pathfinder, War of the Righteous, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, September 29th. That looks to be a Diablo or Sacred clone. Picross Season 8 on Switch, September 29th. Boy, almost done, guys, I promise. Valkyrie Elysium, PS5 and PS4, September 29th. Is a third-person melee combat game. How am I pronouncing this one? Is it Arrowheart?
Arrowheart.
PS5, PS4, Series X and S, Xbox One, Switch, PC, September 30th. That looks an awful lot like Link to the Past to me. Undetected, which is unabashedly a Metal Gear Solid clone on PC, September 30th. FIFA 23, also known as the Ted Lasso Simulator, releases on PS5, PS4, Xbox X and S, Xbox One, and PC, September 30th. And lastly, Witchy Life Story, a PC game coming on September 30th. It is a visual novel game with some mini games. CB, quite a list here. We are in the throes of busy season. Any of these games you plan to pick up?
Well, I mean, clearly. Maybe play a Brewmaster.
Yeah?
Yeah, Brewmaster, and honestly, like...
Well, hang on. Before you move on from Brewmaster, did you know that they actually are in works with a brewery, and they've actually created a special craft brew, like in conjunction with this, that is like made after the game or something like that? So we're gonna have to get our hands on that. See if we can't get a review copy of a beer.
Yeah, why don't you reach out?
I'll see what I can do.
And honestly, like, I really want to play The Fridge is Red.
That is a weird looking trailer.
Oh boy, that trailer gives me some serious creepy like vibes.
Yeah, I think you mentioned before we were recording that it reminded us both of the VHS movies.
Yeah, the VHS movies. Oh man.
Like it's very like it's done intentionally grainy, like you're watching on a VHS tape. It's just creepy, and I have no idea what's going on.
But the cutout section that you talk about, you notice it's being shown on an old TV, and there's no graininess there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh,
what's that about?
Plus, like, I watched the little cutout like thing, and I'm like, okay, I get the gist of this story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that game just throws me for a loop because it looks weird and it looks creepy and right up my alley.
Yeah. What about you, Alyssa?
I'm actually really interested in Brewmaster as well, just because it looks like, one of those games that just would calm you down. But I was very intrigued by the fact you can decorate your brewery.
I see lots of unicorns in a brewery.
I'd make it as cute as possible.
Alyssa, are you a beer drinker?
I don't drink at all.
Oh, okay.
Alyssa, if you play this game, I need you to just start sending me screenshots of what you do to your brewery.
Okay, I will.
Because that's gonna be it's gonna be funny, like how our styles clash. Like when I make mine and you make yours.
As for me, Arrowheart seems like the easy one for me because, man, some of that stuff looks directly lifted from Link to the Past, my favorite game of all time. But I'm really curious to see what that is. Isn't that one? Did you say that's the one that's on Game Pass? Or coming to Game Pass? So yeah, score. And here's the funny thing: I have very little interest in FIFA, but the fact that they put Ted Lasso and the teammates in Ted Lasso kind of make me want to play that.
I know, just seeing Roy Kent and Jamie Tarr and all these people, I'm like, ah.
That's just I would only play as that team. I love that show so much. I don't know if it's enough to make me pull the trigger on the game.
They have the worst rating.
Yeah.
But they're the most lovable.
I mean, it's an EA game, right?
Yes.
Isn't there like the EA like tie-in with Xbox where you can sample said game?
Yeah, I could just play it for the 10 hours or whatever and just get my bid in it. There you go. So yeah, those are the games coming out this week that you can spend your dollars on. But let's go ahead and talk about the games that we've actually been playing.
Well, speaking of games you've actually been playing, and since I actually finally got to have my hands on this monstrosity of a stupid thing, you've been playing Shovel Knight Dig on a Steam Deck.
I have. You guys know how I love the Shovel Knight games.
Yes,
right?
Yes. You and Yacht Club just.
Yes. I did not like the last one very much. If you remember the puzzle game, the Wario's Woods clone, I was not a big fan of that one, but that was more of an issue of games not for me than it being a poor game. It was a very well-made game that just did not click with me. But Shovel Knight Dig goes back to what I love about the Shovel Knight series and, action platforming, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. The crux of this game is that Shovel Knight is napping, and this villain whose name is escaping me, it's something with a hexagon, like hexa something. I don't know. One of you Google it for me and let me know the name of that villain. He steals all of Shovel Knight's stuff and then burrows into the earth, and you're basically chasing after him to get your bag of goodies and loot and all that stuff back. Very simple premise, but it works like a Shovel Knight game where, you got a shovel as a weapon. But instead of moving left to right and platforming through levels, you were digging down, straight down into the abyss, as it were. CB, you remember, well, maybe even Alyssa too, Super Mario Brothers 2? You remember the desert levels where you're digging down and you, but they were very, very short? Imagine a roguelike game where you were doing those kinds of levels. You're digging straight down, armed with your shovel, using it to dig, and, making your way as far down as you can. That's kind of how it plays. But Shovel Knight has the ability, it becomes almost like each room comes like a bit of a puzzle, because you have to get through the room as quickly as possible to keep going down and down and down to get to the next section. But if you stay too long in one level, it does the bubble bobble thing, where if you stay on a board too long, then you know how that little white ghost pops up in Bubble Bobble that you can't kill, and he attacks you if you stay too long on one level. You know what I'm talking about, CB?
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
They do that in this game, but instead of a white ghost, this giant mechanical arm with a spinning blade comes in from the top and will one hit kill you if you don't hurry up through the level. So, and Shovel Knight obviously can dig straight down, but he can also dig straight across. So it becomes you're trying to find your best pathway to get through each screen in order to collect the most gold and trinkets that you can before moving your way down while navigating enemies and working your way down. The roguelike element of it comes in that you are basically trying to get as far as you can and without dying, collecting your gold and then spending it on things on your next run. The part that some people might be turned off on this is that it's actually a bit more like a true roguelike in that there are very few permanent upgrades that are enticing you to, keep going. Like Rogue Legacy. You die, it doesn't hurt because you get to go back and spend your money and you come back that much stronger in your next run, right? This one, you're able to purchase things to make your run easier, but they're only on that run. They only make that run a little bit easier, and when you start over, you start completely fresh again.
Okay.
Which is a little bit different. I have found one permanent upgrade. Again, I've only got about 2/5 of the way through the game. Because when you're walking along, you can actually carry items with you that kind of trail behind you, like Yoshi Egg style in Super Mario World 2. And you can only you can't carry any at the beginning, but you can eventually permanently unlock the ability to carry one. And then eventually 2. I'm up to 2 that I can carry now. So there are keys that you can get that you'll need to open up to get the secret passageways, to get you additional bonuses that may increase your health or may increase your mana, or may give you, boosts to help you along the way to make that journey easier. So it becomes more of a traditional roguelike, because those old original roguelike games where you just try it and see how far you can get, and there's nothing helping you the next time. You just have to get better at the game. So this is a rogue where you actually are rewarded for your skill than just pure leveling up and powering your way through. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does.
The thing that bothers me a little bit is that you have to beat the bosses every time you do a run. So there's 5 main bosses from what I can gather, and you work your way down, you get to the boss, and you fight him. You keep going, and then if you die, you start all the way back at the top level again, and you have to work your way through that first level again, and that boss is still there. So I'm used to most roguelikes where, you beat the boss up, you get a free pass, and you don't have to fight that boss anymore. So I don't know. This game plays more like a survival game where you have to manage your health so closely because it's very difficult to get more health.
So it's essentially crossing a roguelite with a get good scrub.
Yeah, it's tough. It's not easy, and I like it, but I will admit that it gets repetitive going through those first levels again. Although they are procedurally generated, they're never the same, right? And I keep finding new ways that they keep throwing stuff at you that feels fresh every run. It's really clever, but it's the same music on that first stage. It's the same motif in that stage, and I feel like I've already done that. And in a game like Dark Souls not Dark Souls, in a game like Rogue Legacy or Dead Cells, I don't mind going through those portions because I feel like I'm increasing my end game. You know what I mean? I feel like it's repetitive, but it's so much fun, and I'm still increasing my stats on my next run. You know what I mean? I'm getting some power or some upgrade that helps me the next time, and I haven't hit a point in this game yet where I'm seeing a lot of benefit. Again, I'm not through it, but I'm hoping that something happens that makes those runs a little bit easier instead of being based purely on skill. So, and there's leaderboards. I've never seen this in leaderboards. Maybe I just don't do enough leaderboard stuff, but they do daily leaderboards. So instead of having just a overall who had the best run of all time, they actually do daily leaderboards. So you could have competitions with just your friends to see who gets the most loot on this one day, or globally who got the most loot this one day.
Now that I think about it, they've actually more or less just made Shovel Knight into Dig Dug.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Dig Dug was more about clearing all the enemies and then going back up to the surface, right?
But it's an arcade game that has leaderboards.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
So, Shovel Knight, Dig Dug.
So you might dig it for that leaderboard that,
Probably. By the way, they're the Hexcavators.
Hexcavators, thank you very much.
But they're not the boss.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Drill Knight.
Oh, okay. I haven't come across Drill Knight yet. That makes sense.
Yeah, the Hexcavators are just his minions.
Ah, that makes sense. So anyway, Shovel Knight Dig. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm not digging it quite as much as like the Rogue Legacies and the Children of Morta and Moonlighter and all that, but
the masterpiece that is The Binding of Isaac.
There you go. I don't have as much longevity with this as I do those games, but it just feels so good to be back in the world of Shovel Knight. The world is just so charming. There are these NPCs at the top that you can interact with at the beginning of each run that are just charming. Is the only word I can come up with, and it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. One of the things you can unlock with your gold is the ability for other items to appear in the dungeon. So it is a permanent unlock, but it's nothing like where you're increasing your health. You're not increasing your mana permanently. You're just making more things available to you when you get down there. There are secret doors that you have to have a special key to open, not like a regular key that you just find randomly. And you have to purchase those special keys at the surface. And then it becomes a trial and error because you have to work your way down to get to that door. And if you get hit, you drop the key. Now you can go pick it up, but if you drop it in an inconvenient place where you can't get back to it, you've now lost that key. So it becomes a game of, can I get to that door in time to unlock some special ability that will be available in the future or not? That's kind of fun. And you can kind of focus on that instead of focusing on how far down can I get. It's how many of these 7 doors can I open to make. That's how I'm making my run easier, by making these more powerful abilities available to randomly pop up for me when I do the dungeon. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm liking it. I'm going to continue to play it. So I will report back next week. I hope to get through it, but like I said, it is tough. So again, that is Shovel Knight Dig. Moving on, Alyssa, you have been playing another FMV game called The Gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I know you love these games.
I do.
But what is the story going on here? Because it looks murder mystery, but also a little goofy.
Okay, so this one isn't really a horror game or a murder mystery. This has 2 different campaigns, but they're very similar. There's the 1981 campaign and a 2021 campaign, and I've played both. The 1981 campaign is the female campaign, the 2021 campaign is the male campaign, and in both you're playing a character named Morgan Haynes. Just whichever year you choose decides which gender of Morgan Haynes you play as.
Okay.
But in it, you are Morgan Haynes. You are the curator of an art gallery in England, and it's called Argyle Manor, and in each campaign, it's the day before this big exhibition that you're going to have, and you're going to have this famous painting. In the 1981 campaign, it's a painting of the Prime Minister. In the 2021 campaign, it's a painting of a very prominent Instagram influencer. And in each campaign, someone comes in, they ask to paint your portrait. Whether you accept or decline, they still take you hostage. And you're just held there, and you're trying to, get through this hostage situation. You don't know if the villain, who is named Dorian in both campaigns, which I thought was really cool because in both campaigns, if you play the 1981 campaign with the female Morgan, she will be the female Dorian in the 2021 campaign and vice versa.
Interesting.
So
is Dorian... I've never heard the name Dorian. Is that both a male and female name?
I have
only heard it used as Dorian Gray in the book Dorian Gray. I've never seen it used as a woman's name, but I think it's cool.
It's an interesting play because it's the portrait of Dorian Gray.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, go on.
And this game mostly consists of you just making choices that are timed, and it's really just, do you make this choice or this choice, and hope that your relationship with your captor is, if it affects it in a good way or a bad way, and that helps decide how your story ends.
Mm-hmm.
They're both very short. I think each campaign took me an hour and 15 minutes to complete. They are a little too similar for my liking, because they just straight up reuse the dialogue in both campaigns.
Just different actors, like different scenes?
Just different actors, same lines. One actor is used in both campaigns. They play the same character, just updated or older fashioned in the whichever campaign you choose.
Oh, yeah, because it's like many years later, right?
Yeah. There are only just a few scenes that are different that I've seen so far that actually make it worth playing both campaigns, but overall you're going to get the same dialogue, the same choices most of the time. So really just sticking with one campaign is probably the best option, unless you just want to see the different parallels between the two campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
But it mostly stays the same. It's just which decade do you want to be in, or which gender do you want to play as. But it is interesting, and it does focus heavily on art, which I'm not a huge art person, but I do appreciate it. And some of, the techniques they talk about flew over my head, and the artists. But I really did appreciate the fact that they went and talked about art, because you don't really hear art talked a lot about in pop culture games in general.
Mm-hmm.
They also do talk about politics, and in the 2021 version, current events. So if you're not into hearing about politics or current events, you might not want to play this game either, because those feature heavily into the storyline.
Is it leaning one side or the other politically?
Yes, they do lean. Both campaigns lean towards one side.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much.
You're not going to tell me which side?
I don't really know how to describe it. It's just,
Yes, left-leaning.
I would say yes. Left-leaning. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind if you're not really into art or politics. You might not want to play this game just because they feature heavily in the storyline. But the acting is fantastic. The suspense is wonderful. I did not know what to expect playing both of these games. Like I said, I do wish they had changed the dialogue up between the campaigns, because hearing the same lines said just by different actors became a little bit repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's worth playing, especially if you like FMV games, and if you're interested in art or politics or current events, and you think playing through a hostage situation where your relationship with the captor depends on whether you survive or not. If that sounds appealing to you, I'd say play this game.
Does the story resolve in a satisfying way?
For me, it did. I have only gotten one ending in each campaign, which, funnily, I don't know why, but in the 1981 campaign, you have 12 different endings. In the 2021 campaign, you only have 6 different endings.
Yeah, I definitely want to play this one because I love these, especially the different endings.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of funny.
I do want to see some of the different endings. I did boot up 1981 for a little bit just to see, and you can skip past scenes you've seen before just to get to the different choices, so you can speed through it.
So on your second playthrough in the other era, do you kind of make your choices the same way you do in the first, or do you try to mix it up to see if you can get a different ending?
The ones that were the same, I pretty much chose the same answer, but the ones that diverted and had different options, I just chose what I thought was best, and sometimes what you think is best is not actually best.
Right.
Which I also really appreciate, because it's not black and white, it can be gray at points, so you really don't know what you're saying is going to resonate with Dorian well or not. Mm-hmm. So that also kept me on my toes while I was playing this game.
You just come across to me, Alyssa, as a kind of person that can't make a choice that is not the nice guy choice.
Yeah, I struggle with making an evil choice. I only make those if I don't realize they're the evil choice, like they're kind of disguised, and then I'm like, oh no.
Right. All right, so that is The Gallery. Yeah, I think you sold CB. It's not hard to sell CB on a
no
FMV game, to be honest. So if you like those kinds of games, it sounds like a Alyssa digs it. So moving on.
And I see that you are also playing Return to Monkey Island on Switch, right?
Yes.
Now, I've never played Secret of Monkey Island. I know that is a cardinal sin, and I should rectify that.
Mm-hmm.
Is Return to Monkey Island a worthy sequel, successor to The Secret of Monkey Island?
As far as I am in it right now, absolutely. I am in nostalgia heaven right now playing this game. There are so many callbacks to the first game in particular, which is the one I've played the most. Secret of Monkey Island was the first point-and-click adventure game I played when I was a kid. And it was actually it's the first PC game I ever played, actually. So, like, this is back when my dad bought me a computer when I was a kid, and I just decided to find out what this game was, and I played it. Absolutely loved it so much. And Return to Monkey Island, like I said, just kind of brings back jokes from that, but not like rehashing the jokes. It's like they kind of give nods to jokes from the original game. It's hilarious. Sidebar, Alyssa, you should play this because there's no action in these games. I know you don't like games that require a ton of dexterity. They're not difficult. You can't die. It's just about whether or not you can make the connections that you need to, and it's genuinely hilarious. And they remade the original and the second one, the sequel, so they don't look quite as pixelated, but there's something charming about seeing those games pixelated and the conversations and everything. So anyway, I don't want to spoil the endings of those games, but The Secret of Monkey Island, the last one, ended on somewhat of a cliffhanger. A pretty big cliffhanger. They kind of just like threw this thing at you, and I don't want to ruin it here, but they start Return to Monkey Island right where that one left off, but in not a way that you would expect. If you've played those games, you know what I'm talking about. So is in terms of the way this game plays mechanically, I'm playing it on the Switch, so it's not a traditional point-and-click adventure that way. If you play it on PC, it does. But when you're playing it on the Switch, you actually move the character around, and instead of clicking and trying to find what you need to click on, it actually like puts little like pins or something on different things that you can look at or whatever. Okay. And then you can cycle through them with your RB buttons and cycle the one that you want to interact with, and it does that. So it makes it's actually a pretty intuitive control scheme that they've done to make this work, and the humor is there. I've run into so many characters from the original that make me laugh. I've met new characters. I am trying to put together a crew to go seek out the secret of Monkey Island because, spoiler alert, he failed to do so in the previous games, and so he's on a mission to find the actual secret of Monkey Island, and I am basically sneaking onto the pirate ship of the villain from the first two games, who I thought I killed, but apparently he's still out and about, and it's great. It's so much fun. If you are a fan of those original games, easy recommend. If you've never played The Secret of Monkey Island, I recommend not starting here, because so many of the callbacks are not going to make any sense. This is definitely a game made for fans of the series, and I don't mean that in a gatekeeping kind of way. I just mean that I want you to play this game, but I want you to get the jokes like I did.
Yeah.
So go back and play Secret of Monkey Island, and then eventually come back to Return, because by the time you get through those, it'll probably be cheaper. I think it was already on sale on Steam for decent, but even full price, it's $25.
That's not bad.
No, and they got the actual original voice actor. There was no voice acting in the original Secret of Monkey Island or Secret of Monkey Island 2. It was just like text dialogue. And then when they remastered them, they actually got the voice actor from the later games. Like there was Escape from Monkey Island, and I can't remember his first name, but Armado is his last name. He did the voice acting in those later games, like on PS2 and all that. And then when they remastered them, they used his voice, and actually he dubbed over it. And they got him back again to do Return to Monkey Island, and it's spectacular. So sometimes I wish, though, I mean, I'm happy that it's voice acted, but sometimes I wish that they would put the text up as well, and I could skip the dialogue. You know, if I'm having the same conversation, I want to skip through it. That's a little bit of a bummer, and maybe it's there and I just haven't been able to find it. But what a charming game! Absolutely, I don't know if you guys saw the smile on my face when you first.
Oh yeah,
I saw
questions. It's just it makes me so happy, and I know that a lot of that is nostalgia, and it just brings me back to my childhood because these were the early games I played on PC. It makes me want to go back and play like the Indiana Jones ones, Fate of Atlantis, and they did one on The Last Crusade. I never played Loom. So there's a running joke in the original games. You're in a bar and there's this guy that's wearing this badge that says, "Ask me about Loom," which is another game made by the same company.
Mm-hmm.
And so you one of the dialogue choices is to, so tell me about Loom. And it's like this old crusty pirate looking dude. And as soon as you ask him, his face just perks up and he goes into this hardcore sales pitch about this other game made by LucasArts. And it's quite hilarious. It's pretty funny. So that same guy is actually in the bar still. And you get to go talk to him. And he's like, so tell me about Loom. And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm so tired of telling people about Loom." And then like you beg him and he finally does. And he does it, but it's all voice acted. And so he's doing it like very robotic, like, "It is a great game that has all these features and astounding graphics. You should play Loom." It's just a funny joke that like he's still telling people about Loom, still wearing that badge after all these years. And I've still never played Loom. So anyway, Return to Monkey Island. Easy recommend if you're a fan of the games. If you've never played them before, don't start here.
I'll definitely have to play them. Yeah.
And Alyssa, those are games for you. Like those are games you need to play. So I would love to hear your impressions of those games, especially the first one, because like now we've got the internet. So if you get stuck, you can just use the internet. But try to not, because figuring out some of the stuff is just great. I will say that this game does have the addition of a hint feature.
Oh, that's nice.
They do the hint thing where if you get stuck, it'll say, you can say, "How do I do this?" from a list of options. How do I get this to happen? Get this to happen, and it'll subtly give you clues. Like it'll kind of hint at it, and then I need more. It'll give you a little bit more of a hint without giving the answer, and it gets to like 5 different choices before it outright says, "Okay, this is what you got to do." So that's kind of cool. And the game also has 2 modes. I've never seen this in a point-and-click adventure, but I don't play them nearly as much as Thomas, our point-and-click adventure connoisseur, does. But it has a normal mode, and it has a hard mode, where the puzzles are even more difficult and all that. So I started on easy mode just because I wanted to experience the story and have a little bit of a challenge. But it's a pretty clever game. And there you have it. Well, before we get to our topic, I want to remind everybody about our social media outlets, facebook.com/groups/thegocast. You can find our community over there. We got some new members to say hello to. Ben Wick, I think I said that one already. Ben Wick, Ryan Estwing, and Charlie Brown, so I may have forgotten to delete those. Also, our Discord server is live and thriving. That's where we set up a lot of our community game nights, so be sure to head over there. And then also our website, like I mentioned at the top of the show, thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all of our episodes and all of our written content, including our written reviews. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. All right, before we get started, just a heads up. There's a possibility that CB will not be returning for the rest of the episode. It sounded like he may have had a family emergency that he needed to address. So, Alyssa, it's going to be you and me manning this topic here for now, unless everything's okay and he does pop back
Which
in.
I do hope everything's okay.
Yeah, we honestly don't know what's going on. A family member kind of called him and he had to step out. So a little nervous, but
I am too.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to try to get through this topic. This week, as I mentioned, I just got done talking about the return of Monkey Island, or return to Monkey Island. I've been playing a point-and-click adventure game for the first time in several years, and it got me thinking about how difficult it would be for me to recommend a game like that to someone who isn't familiar with the genre. I mean, what do you mean you don't kill any enemies? All I do is click on stuff. So it reminded me of other games and genres that I know are a bit of a hard sell to certain audiences. So I thought we could discuss some games we love but don't really know how to convince others to play them. So, Alyssa, I just want to ask you directly before we get into the actual titles, how hard is it for you to be sold on a game when it's unconventional or out of your wheelhouse?
It's not really that difficult, especially if I'm able to play it, say, on Game Pass or something, where it's very easy to... It's just accessible, and I will dip my toe in it. I might not like it. It might not be for me, but I will try it out if people say, hey, it's a good game. Because I don't want to miss out. I guess I get FOMO sometimes.
I'm the same way. Like, someone will recommend a game to me that is completely a game that I don't like, and I hear people excitedly talk about it, and I'm like, I have to try it. I gotta try it.
Yeah.
I gotta try it. I gotta find out for myself. And that's why I have a library of 800 games on my Xbox, because that game somebody talked about 5 years ago is on sale for $4. I'll buy it and then never install it. Like, that's just same thing with Steam. I definitely have more games in my Steam library that I've never installed than games that I've actually played. It's just
same here.
Yeah, kind of crazy. So it sounds like Alyssa, you and I are very easy sell, and I know CB's not here. CB is pretty much an easy sell too.
Oh yeah.
You could say, "Hey, dude, you should try this game." He'd be like, "Okay, here's my wallet. Where do I put my credit card information?" So, I feel like a lot of people aren't that way. And I'm not saying it's a negative thing. I don't mean it to sound like it's a bad thing. People have their wheelhouses, and they succumb to the FOMO like you and I can't, right? So let's get into some games that you do love but might struggle to actually convince someone else to play. Let's start with you, Alyssa.
Okay, one of my favorite games is Deadly Premonition, and I do recommend playing the Director's Cut, but it's so hard to recommend because it's basically Twin Peaks as a video game, but even with the Director's Edition, which improves the controls and the camera, they're very janky. So... Okay. And plus, it's not available to play on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, or Xbox Series X or S. You have to play it on PS3, Switch, or PC.
Okay. And I've never played Deadly Premonition. I don't know anything about it, but I want to ask you too, because I've never played Twin Peaks. I've never seen Twin Peaks, so I don't really know what you mean by when you say that. I've heard that show is weird. What makes it weird?
It is very weird. There's just there's supernatural elements going on. There's a murder mystery in both of these titles. The characters are eccentric. Both characters, lead characters, Dale Cooper in Twin Peaks and Zachary York Morgan in Deadly Premonition, both talk to an basically invisible friend or assistant, whatever you want to say. And everyone's just looking at them like, who are they talking to? They're talking to no one. And there's just so many different eccentric qualities in both of these titles that they're hard to recommend because you really have to be open to seeing some weird stuff and comprehending some unusual storyline elements and just dealing with some not so up-to-date graphical choices or special effects. It's just really having a tolerance for the weirder side of television or video gaming, and then being able to put up with some jank to get to the jewel that's underneath.
Gotcha. So what is the premise behind Deadly Premonition?
So you are Zachary York Morgan, and you go to the town of Greenvale because there are murders happening, and there are red seeds, and Zachary York Morgan has dealt with the red seeds before, and he's compelled to go and try to solve the murders in this town. And Deadly Premonition is really cool because there is a day-night system, and all of the characters in this game have their own lives. So if you want to talk to someone, you have a set amount of hours in the game, which they go by fairly fast. It's not real life hours. And if you don't talk to them or go to their house or their place of business by that time, you have to wait till the next day. There's also the Raincoat Killer, who will appear at the crime scenes you're investigating, and you have to go run and hide. You cannot fight the Raincoat Killer, you can just run and hide. And if he grabs you, I think you have about 3 times before he kills you. Unless you're hiding, then he'll just grab you and kill you instantly. Just trying to figure out who the Raincoat Killer is.
So what makes this game a hard sell is the janky controls?
janky controls. I would also say the weirdness makes it a very hard sell. There are some unusual characters, which I find endearing. Some people will find just too weird. Mm-hmm. Just some of the cutscenes and like there are these two twin boys that come up that, you know, for story reasons I don't want to spoil why, but probably will creep some people out. There's just it's hard to sell, and it is. I think it's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's the most divisive video game of all time. People either love this game or hate it.
See, that makes me want to try it now. Going back to FOMO, I'm like, I gotta play this game now.
I honestly wish they put it out on this new generation of consoles with updated graphics. They don't even have to fix the controls for me. I would play it again because it's just wonderful. It's just immersing yourself in that story is fantastic, but you have to be willing to be open to it.
Mm-hmm. All right, any others?
I would say pretty much a lot of stuff I review for the site, you know, visual novels, dating sims, they're pretty hard to recommend to people unless they're already fans of the genre.
Right.
Especially like a game like Hot If a Boyfriend. I played that game every single route. I got every single ending, but you can...
Dating birds, aren't you?
You are, but I was playing on PS4, I believe, and you did have the option to turn the birds into humans, so it wasn't as creepy. So if you didn't want to do the bird thing, you can make the fellow classmates humans. But yeah, I mean, that was such a fun game, and it went unexpected places, but it's so hard to recommend to people because it is about dating birds, and you are a human that goes to a school for birds.
Right. Well, and I'll be direct with you, Alyssa. That is one series or genre of games that I am a very hard sell on.
I think a lot of people are, yeah.
I just don't. That kind of game just does nothing for me. So, like, I forgive me if when you talk about those games, if I seem kind of checked out, I have a hard time getting interested in those. But I love that they make you happy. So there's that.
Yeah.
And I will say I want to kind of throw one of mine in. Just because it kind of relates to what you're talking about. One of the games on my list is Doki Doki Literature Club.
I still have not played that, and I need to.
Oh my goodness, you haven't played Doki Doki Literature Club?
Mm-mm.
Play Doki Doki Literature Club. It's only like 2 or 3 hours, and then go listen to our spoiler cast on Patreon.
Okay.
Because, man, I can't even tell you what makes that game so special, but it is a game that is a dating simulator. And when someone told me that I had to play this game, I started it and I was like, what are you talking about? Why am I playing this game? And all I'm going to tell you, Alyssa, is just wait. Just keep playing it. It won't be a problem for you because you like those kinds of games anyway. But gird your loins.
Okay, I will.
This is a game that has warnings, like content warnings. So,
well, I go for those games.
Okay.
Like,
well, I just
you got a trigger checklist, I'm going to play it.
Okay. If you're not bothered by triggered checklist things, then you're okay. But you should play that game because that's a game I've never played like the console versions. Like I kind of want to go back and play it again on Xbox just to experience it again and then get some achievements at the same times.
Yeah.
But that is definitely a game that's hard to sell to somebody because you're going to be playing a dating simulator for a good portion of that game and selecting dialogue choices, and that's it. I mean, even when you get to the end of the game, that's all you do.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing but dialogue choices in that game. Some very, very minor puzzles. But it's a game that everybody absolutely needs to play, and I have no idea how to sell that game to anybody without just straight up spoiling it. And I just don't want to do that. So that's one that you're just going to have to take my word on.
And I will.
All right. Let me know. I'm really curious. Is that one on Game Pass?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay.
I think it's free on Steam, though, the original version.
It was free on Steam.
Oh, no longer free.
I think they monetized it once it started getting popularized.
Oh.
Or popular, but I could be wrong. So, all right. Did you have any others on your list? Or are you out?
That's pretty much it. I mean, I have a hard time selling dating sims and visual novels to people because visual novels, unless you love to read, it's probably not going to appeal to you because those usually have just reams and reams of dialogue, which I'm a fast reader, but if reading is a struggle for you, or if you just don't enjoy it, those games are going to be a very hard sell. And plus, a lot of them are also weird. So
yeah. All right, well, CB had a list of games, and I was going to share those because he did actually write them here for us. His first one that he thinks are hard to sell people are hard shmups. Like when we say shmups, we're talking about shoot 'em ups, where you're playing either vertically or horizontally. He loves those games, but he understands that those are hard to sell to people. He said retro stylized indie games. Those are hard to sell, probably because they look like old games.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
A lot of people now are accustomed to having bright, shiny graphics.
One that he had on his list that was also on mine is simulation games. Power Wash Simulator, Lawn Mowing Simulator,
House Flipper.
These games we talk about them a lot here. We all like them, but I understand how it would be difficult to sell somebody on mowing a lawn in a video game. But because, like, if you want the satisfaction of it, wouldn't you just do it? But then I got to sweat and I got to buy gas and I got to, be outside and exercise when I could just have that feeling right here on the couch and not have to not get grass on my shoes and all that. But I understand it. I don't want to play PC building simulator. That's not something I'm interested in doing. I feel like simulation games are for people that are already familiar with whatever is being simulated and are already good at it and can, do it in another way so they're automatically already good at a game before they even start it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Or it gives some kind of sense of satisfaction, like in Power Washing Simulator. I love power washing my patio. That feeling of just like line by line, just clearing it and making it look pretty. I love that. I'm going to go back and play Power Washing Simulator again now. I was finished on the motorcycle. I should go back and play that some more. CB goes on his list, live action narratives. So I guess the full motion video games. Again, all you're doing is choosing dialogue choices, but if you think of it like an interactive movie, it works. And his last one is old school games that can be brutal. He's talking about difficulty. It's really hard to recommend the original Ninja Turtles or Battletoads or some of those old school games because they're just so hard. Those games did not hold your hand whatsoever. So thank you, CB, for that list. Moving on, the easy one that is a hard sell for me is pinball. Everyone thinks I'm crazy for loving pinball. All you do is press two buttons.
I love pinball as well.
Do you? Okay. I thought I was the only one. But I feel like it's hard to sell someone. I try to sell people on trying a pinball table when they make a pinball that is themed after something they already love. I've got a friend that is a massive Deadpool fan, so when they did a Deadpool table, I was like, hey, you want to play Deadpool? And he played one round of it and promptly never played it again because, that's just how it works. Dude, there's a bunch of Star Wars tables. Come play Star Wars. They're a lot of fun. They actually have story missions, and the fun is figuring out the table. But I also understand why it's a hard sell because it's not a traditional video game. It's a score-based game, which I don't traditionally like score-based games as much as CB. But pinball is definitely an easy one. A game that I talk about a lot on this show is Shadows of the Damned. Pretty much any game from Grasshopper or Suda51. Those are very difficult games
because
to
they
recommend to people.
Very, very strange.
They're very weird. Yeah.
The humor can be not to everyone's taste in those games.
And they can often be pretty vulgar, too.
Yeah, Shadows of the Damned and Lollipop Chainsaw come to mind.
Yeah. Although I didn't like to play Lollipop Chainsaw as much. I feel like the novelty of that whole thing wore off after 2 or 3 levels of that game, and I just didn't. I felt kind of dirty playing that game.
I mean, I played it all the way through, and I enjoyed it, but it did become repetitive.
Yeah.
I also really loved Shadows of the Damned as well, though.
But Shadows of the Damned is just... It's so weird, and it makes no sense. But it is hilarious, and the voice acting is great. It's one of the best sidekick characters in the game. I'm going to stop talking about it because we talk about it every episode. It feels like I don't want to overkill it. CB mentioned simulators already. I said Doki Doki Literature Club, and I got one more, and actually 2 more. Thomas Was Alone is a game I adore, but trying to convince somebody to play a platformer where you play as quadrilaterals, and that's it, is a very difficult sell. Yeah, you're just gonna play as a square for one level. You're gonna play as a rectangle for another, a rhombus for another. Like, and this guy does a narration, tells a story over it. How do you sell somebody on playing that game?
It's very hard to. I've played a little bit of it. Until I got stuck, but I did find it charming from the bit I played. Just hearing the narration, and
I got emotional playing that game, like feeling for some of these quadrilaterals. They each had their own personality, and they weren't even speaking. It was the single narrator that was saying all these lines. It's kind of crazy. That's one of those must-play games in my mind. It's a quirky little puzzle game that shouldn't work, and it's great, fantastic. My last one is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Oh yeah,
because that game's not very fun to play.
It's not, but it's very immersive. Especially play it with headphones if you're gonna play it. First of all, because the sound is just incredible,
haunting.
But it's so unique. And having Senua, she suffers from a mental illness, and that's what guides her through the game.
Right.
And you're having to deal with that, and it's just such a unique concept, and I can see people not liking it and just not wanting to play it.
I think that most people that play that game like that aspect of it.
It's just having
the actual gameplay when you're doing these visual puzzles.
Yeah.
Where you're just trying to that is
you
not
line
fun.
things up and
yeah, and then the combat just doesn't make any sense. It's not fun combat at all. I mean, I guess it's not supposed to be fun because you're it's the character dealing with what's going on in her story. That's not fun. You know what I mean? So I guess that's somewhat intentionally, but it's a hard game to get through for that very reason, and that makes it a very difficult sell for me. I had a couple mentions for myself of games that are hard to sell me on. I mean, I mentioned the dating simulators. I just don't have a whole lot of deal. But Suda51, another Suda51 game, Killer 7. Everybody raves about that game.
I tried to play it and I couldn't get into it.
It was just so beyond weird that nothing made sense at all.
That was my issue with it.
Yeah. And then we already mentioned it, but Death Stranding is another one that I don't know how you sell how they were able to convince a AAA developer to make a game where you carry boxes across a landscape and actually make it a thing. And whatever is special about that game was definitely lost on me. And I fully admit the problem is probably on me, not on the game itself, because people love that game. Either that or they just love Kojima and will just do whatever he does. But it's definitely a hard sell for me. All right, moving on. We just had a couple comments from our community. The first one comes from Mark Zemansky. I'll read this one and then you can read Zach's. All right?
Okay.
Mark says, because I play remarkably less games than others, I will say the kind of games that are hard to I will say the kind of games that are hard to sell me on. These include games where the characters are pixely or sprite-like. Celeste would be a great example. I hear it's a great game, but the screenshots don't make me reach for the wallet. Looks like a game I played 30 years ago. Honestly, Children of Morta is another example. I am so glad that I bought it. We actually convinced Mark to pick up Children of Morta in our Discord community, and he is absolutely loving that game. Actually, David Newman just finished that game. It only took me, was it 2 years ago I reviewed that game, and he finally decided to actually listen to the review and play it. But this kind of ties into what CB said earlier about those pixelated games. I understand. It's a hard sell. For me, I get more nostalgic playing those games, and I actually like it. But I understand trying to get someone to play a game that looks like it came out 30 years ago. The charm of Celeste isn't so much the graphics on that one, although I will say that they do some really cool things with the pixelation in that game artistically.
Oh, they do,
and
yeah.
The music is fantastic. I've listened to that soundtrack more than any other in the last however many years since that game came out. But the reason to play Celeste is the satisfaction of accomplishment, because those levels are hard.
Oh yeah, they're
hard. Not at the beginning. You'll feel like this isn't that bad, but it ramps up and you'll bang your head against the wall. But it's also completely fair. It's hard. Like when you die, it's definitely your mistake, and you just study the screen with the controller down and look at it. You figure out what you got to do, and then you try another 40 times to get through there and do it, and it works. So Mark, I hope sometime you give Celeste a shot. I actually did play that on Switch the first time and then picked it up on Xbox as well. It's hard. It's very, very hard. So if you don't like to be frustrated, that would be the bigger reason for it to be a hard sell for me, is its difficulty, not necessarily its graphics. Although that sounds like it's a turnoff for you.
I will say with Celeste though, if it is too difficult, and they do have an option where you don't die.
Yeah, so you can, because it is a pretty cool story. There is a really cool story buried in that has to do with, mental health. That was a refreshing change of pace that I thought was really cool. So, yeah, you can play it on easy, but I don't think it would be as satisfying. There's something so cool about looking at a board, saying, there's no way this is possible, studying it for a minute or two, going, okay, I can see what I got to do, and then actually pulling it off. That combination of steps from screen to screen is just outstanding to me. All right, one more comment.
And from our very own Zach Parkerson, he says, Advent Rising is a game I love to death, but it's hard to recommend. The frame rate is trash, and the controls take a while to adjust to. That said, the story and lore is exceptional, but it also ends on a gargantuan cliffhanger that'll never get resolved.
Yeah, that sequel is never going to happen. Isn't that an Orson Scott Card written story, or based on an Orson Scott Card story?
I'm not sure.
And that probably has something to do with why it...
Forgive me, Zach.
Yeah, I feel confident that's an Orson Scott Card story, but it wasn't well received because of the quality, like the frame rate. But it's another one that I started but never finished because the controls were pretty bad. So good call. All right, that's all the responses we got for this one. I apologize. Maybe I didn't explain it well enough, but I thought it was a fun topic. Alyssa, did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, I thought it was really fun. I was kind of shocked.
Awesome.
There were only 2
guys. But that's okay. We still had a good conversation about it. So we're gonna have a topic again next week. It will be the first episode of the month of October. So that episode will be community questions once again. So stay tuned for a post on the social media outlets where we're going to ask you for communities that we can answer here on the show, and hopefully have some good, fun conversations about it. But that is going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Alyssa, do you have any parting words or recommendations for the community before we get out of here?
I've been watching this show, and it's available on Hulu. It's called The Patient, and it's brilliant. I really wanted to watch this because I'm a huge fan of Donald Gleason. Mm-hmm. I love everything he's in. He's a phenomenal actor. But it's also got Steve Carell, and he is so good in this as well.
He's the psychiatrist, right?
Yes. And the story is Steve Carell plays a psychiatrist, or I'm not sure, he might just be a therapist.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, this man walks in, and he's played by Donald Gleason, and he says, I need help. He talks to him. They leave, but then he kidnaps the therapist, Steve Carell's character, and chains him up in his basement, but he keeps him very comfortable. He's got a bed and everything. It's not like he's torturing him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I need you to help me. I'm going to go and kill this certain man. He tells him, he's like, unless you help me. So he's like, I don't want to be a serial killer. I have these tendencies. It's like he said it's basically like he has a compulsion and he has to go and kill these people, which it's
satisfy that craving.
Yeah. So Steve Carell's character is both trying to help him, but also trying to figure out a way to get out of this guy's basement, because obviously you don't want to be stuck in a serial killer's basement.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it's very comfortable looking. And he brings him delicious looking food because the guy's a food inspector in his everyday life.
I didn't see. I saw I keep seeing the trailer for this on TikTok, of all places. But I didn't realize he kidnapped him. I just thought he was like from what I saw in the trailer, he, admitted that he was a serial killer, but I didn't know anything about it being a kidnapping. How many episodes is this?
They've released 5 so far as of the day of recording, and there are going to be 10 total. I think this is a limited series, but I could be mistaken on that part. So far, it's phenomenal, and where the story is going, I'm really intrigued. Each episode is between 20 and 30 minutes long, so it's really easy to watch. They only release 1 episode a week, though, so if you want to wait and binge it, you could do that as well.
Gotcha. I'm going to recommend a film as well. I know yours is a series, but I'm late to the party on this one, but I finally saw The Black Phone.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, my goodness. I I went into this not knowing anything what it was about whatsoever. I had no idea the premise. I was just told to watch it, and I recommend you do the same if possible. What a phenomenal, I don't want to say bite-sized story, but it's a story that you've heard before. Like, it's not a new concept.
Yeah.
But the way that they portray what is happening in this very familiar concept is very cool. And Ethan Hawke is one of the most underrated actors in my mind.
Oh,
like,
yeah. He's phenomenal.
He's one of those guys that you see in so many things, but he just never makes quite superstar status for some reason. And I don't know why, but what a great flick this was. Ends in a very satisfying way. The kid that is the main actor in this one is great. It's got that, actually all the kids, like his sister is fantastic. It's got that, Spielberg-esque tone to the way the kids banter with one another. And it's on the surface, it seems like it's going to be same old kind of story of what it is. But the way that it gets there and the way that it kind of, what's going on in this kid's mind and the way they show that is fantastic. It's just so good. So if you haven't seen The Black Phone, I know I'm late to the party, but I would highly recommend everybody check that one out. So, well, Alyssa, thank you so much for being here. I know it was just the two of us here at the end, but I had a great time chatting with you.
I had a great time I can't speak. Chatting with you as well.
Yeah. So we'll have to do it again sometime, maybe next week.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I would like to remind you that The Gaming Outsider is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music that you hear on this episode is written and performed by Mr. Grant Henry of Stemmage and Metroid Metal. His website, once again, is stemmagemusic.com. If you have any music needs, he is your guy. He's fantastic. Also, please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.